Part 2 of liquid soap making is the dilution phase. I first want to break up the soap paste into little squares or little knobs like that, so it's easier to dilute. The smaller you can get the paste, the easier it will be to dilute. Now last night this was still very runny, and it wasn't really a dry paste, it was more of a very runny liquid, like a thick honey. And you might find it easier to dilute at that stage. As I said, I just like to do my liquid soap making in 2 parts. You don't have to do it this way. I do like a dry paste. It's particularly good if you want to save some and make a couple of batches, which I often do. If you want to save it, some of this paste, for another day to dilute, when it's nice and dry, you can pop it into a Ziploc bag. When it's sticky, you can do it as well, but I think it keeps better when it's dry. If you're going to dilute the whole paste, which I actually am today, it probably does make sense to do it while it's still wet, still like honey. But I do like to have a nice dry paste. Now these are quite big chunks. I'm going to break these up even more. A potato masher is a great way to break up the pieces even more. You might notice I'm not wearing gloves. You might be worried about that. I've already done the clarity test, and so I'm happy that the soap is fully saponified. I will, once I've diluted it fully, I will be testing the pH as well. The great thing about liquid soap is you can actually test the pH with a pH meter instead of litmus paper. So I'm taking my boiled pure water, which is from my rain tank, and I'm going to barely cover this soap. This is all hot. And what I'm going to do is turn my crock pot on high and leave it on high for 30 minutes, and then I'm just going to turn it off and let it do its own thing for a few hours. Now it should, the water and the soap should become one substance, and it'll probably be too thick, but I want it to go slowly. I want it to thin and thin and thin, and when I get the right consistency that I want, and it's a personal choice, I'll pour that off onto a container and continue to dilute the rest of the lumps. Now the smaller the lumps, the faster it will dilute. It makes no other difference. It just makes it faster. So what I'll do is I'll turn this crock pot on, and the reason I've boiled this pure water is, again, just to accelerate this process. Now I'm doing this by look and feel, and I might put just a tad more in because there's quite a lot of soap paste in there. And it's, as you can see, it's a really simple process. A lot of people are afraid, do I have to neutralise it? Do I have to use borax? Do I have to use citric acid? Do I have to play with pHs? Absolutely not. This is a 3% super fat soap, and you will see it's a lovely soap with a lovely clarity. And I like to have a super fat in any of my soaps, including liquid soaps. So I think it's a really good technique, and the neutralisation method, in my humble opinion, is an outdated method, and this is my preferred method. There we go. So, pop the lid on, turn it on high. I'm going to look at the clock, and after 30 minutes, I'm just going to turn the whole thing off. It's been around 25-30 minutes, and you can see that the soap has really started to dilute, and it's even got a bit of a skin on some of that. Now this is way too runny to be considered soap yet. There's so many things that come into play: the temperature, how long you've heated it for, the ambient temperature in the room, humidity in the room, a whole lot of things. I'm just going to turn that off. I'm going to further insulate that. It's just an old towel. It's been around 2 hours now. It still needs to go quite a long way. The liquid here is still very watery. I'll leave it a bit longer, mash it up a bit more and leave it longer. So it's been 2.5 hours now, and you can see that it's starting to get lovely and viscous. And there's also lots and lots of lumps in there because I didn't put that much water in. So what I'm going to do now is pour the liquid soap into a separate container. You can pour it directly into the container that you're going to use. If the container that you have has a wide mouth, but if you're going to use one that has a small mouth, then just use another container and a funnel to get it into the final container. I haven't actually coloured or fragranced this yet, so I'm going to put it into this staging container. I'm just using the sieve to get rid of any lumps, and I'm going to put any lumps back into the main pot. So this liquid soap, I can use that as, say, my shampoo or my hand soap or whatever. I'm going to add my fragrances and colours and anything else at this point. So there are some chunky bits in there. I can go back into the main pot. And have a look at that. There's quite a lot there. Around 400 grams, I think. So there's quite a lot there, and I have quite a lot more to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some more water in there. So I have two choices to heat it up if I want to make it go faster. One is to turn the crock pot on, and the other is to use boiling water. I'm going to put the crock pot on. Again, I'm just going to cover what's there and mash it up, and that's it. And I will keep doing this until all of the lumps are gone. And that's it. We've got our first lot of liquid soap, and all these chunks will make our second lot, third lot, and until we're completely gone. Now, if you don't mind a really thin soap and you're impatient, what you can do is add a lot of water and do the whole lot in one go. But I like a thicker soap, so I prefer to do it this way, because once you've added too much water, it's very difficult to get it thicker again, and I don't like to use thickening agents. I like it to be as natural as possible. So, with one of your dilutions, you can choose a colour. If you want, you can put, a little bit of apple cider vinegar in. I'm going to do that because I'm going to make this into a shampoo. There we go. I'm going to put a little glycerin in, again because it's a shampoo. It may make it go a little bit cloudy, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm more concerned about the effects on my hair. I'm going to put in some lovely essential oils, and because it's already an amber colour, I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to use an orange colourant. There we go. Smells beautiful. Just going to give it a quick mix, and then I'm going to use my funnel to pour it into my shampoo bottle. Still rather transparent. Perfect size for that shampoo bottle. Done. Now all I need to do is label it.